So we're going to be looking at an interesting voicemail. You can call in and leave a voicemail for 469-665-9642. Let's check it out.
Hey, Voice. I live in the 10th District of Illinois. I'm represented by Brad Snyder. He's essentially like a Pelosi spawn, and so he doesn't support single payer or legalizing pot or all that kind of stuff. But on his website, he's trying to take hold of the word progressive, and he's trying to. I've seen this with a lot of other corporate Democrats. They're trying to take the word progressive and kind of use it as their own. So I guess my question is, what do you think about corporate Democrats trying to use the word progressive, even when they don't stand for the basic progressive values? And what do you think the best way to fight against that is? Thank you, and have a good day, man. Good show.
All right, so this is actually a really interesting voicemail. I actually had to think a lot about this one, but it's something that's really muddled here. Now, this kind of, I guess, lumps into the whole Dave Rubin and classical liberal garbage, because when it comes to these kind of political terms, it gets really, what's the dynamic, I want to say. The word is dynamic. It's really dynamic because things are changing, and when it comes to political terms, generally speaking, it's not 100% defined. So when it comes to, and recently, normally speaking, progressive and liberal are completely interchangeable. So, but that is seeming to change, and there's kind of a divide between progressives and liberals, because progressives are people who, and this is the problem. There's no real, there's no universal kind of set of values for a progressive, and I would say that there is for a liberal. When I think of a liberal, I think of civil rights and government intervention in economics. That would be the main two things that I would pinpoint for liberals. When it comes to progressivism, I would say that most people who are right-wingers and stuff would more attribute that to things like gender acceptance and things like that. If you were to ask people, they wouldn't respond saying, therefore legalizing pot, single-payer healthcare, $15 minimum wage, ending the wars, and all this stuff. They wouldn't tell you that, and I think that that's the core of the problem here. So, the definition that we go by, because we are progressives and this is kind of our realm, a lot of people who are even liberals and conservatives will say, it's mainly for acceptance, equality, and all this stuff. But we're like, it's way more than that. Obviously, we are also on that. But really what it is because we think that policy positions are going to engulf a lot of that stuff. So economic, translates to social. So, things like ending war on drugs and all that type of stuff. So when it comes to corporate Democrats kind of, like you're saying, kind of hijacking it, I don't really see what he's specifically doing as a problem. Maybe if it grew, it would be a problem, but I don't really think it's anything to worry about, because we know who a real progressive is, and we just have to call them out and say, no, you're not a progressive because this is what a progressive believes in, because a lot of people don't even know. Like I said, if you were to ask people, they'd probably say, acceptance, equality, gender equality, and all this stuff. But really, there's a set of core principles that are really a litmus test as to whether or not you are really a progressive. I would say that if you don't believe in single-payer healthcare, you're not a progressive. If you don't believe in some form of $15 minimum wage, you're not a progressive. So there are a lot of things that are kind of a litmus test when it comes to that type of stuff. But corporate Democrats are going to try to do that. But again, in today's society, outside of the kind of really new media left-wing bubble that we're kind of in here, with all the shows, progressive and liberal, the progressive and liberal, the two words are pretty much interchangeable. So for us, we need to call them out, but in the real world, it doesn't really matter, because people don't even really know, like, hey, this is what progressive means. They'd say, gender equality or whatever. I hope that answers your voicemail. Thanks a lot.